Baltimore Ravens are at a critical point in their season, sitting at 1-3 and looking for a big bounce back win against the Houston Texans. Cam Newton challenged them to do it with the news that Lamar Jackson will not be on the field for them on Sunday. We'll talk about that and so much more coming up on Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Ravens. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much for being here on this bonus edition on a Saturday, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day, your first listen each and every single day as well. And thank you out there to all the everydayers, the first-time listeners, if you're somewhere in the middle. Thank you as well. We got 5 days a week plus more of daily Ravens coverage for you on Locked On Ravens. Jam-packed show today as Cam Newton challenged the Baltimore Ravens to be great without Lamar Jackson. I thought that was a very interesting topic of conversation. We'll also talk about life without Lamar Jackson. It's Cooper Rush officially set to start, and Cooper had some thoughts on that. And then we'll also dive into how the Ravens can bounce back in Week 5 against the Texans. Want to tell everybody today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda Move and Be Moved. With me today, it is Baltimore Ravens long snapper making his return to the show. And as we always say on here, tech genius, Mr. Nick Moore. Nick, I know record-wise hasn't been the start that you guys have envisioned so far through 4 weeks, but hey, you know what? The best part about that is you have an opportunity to right the ship, and you still have a long way to go this season to get it all back on track and make sure that you guys can still be on that journey to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, Kev, great to be back on the show. Appreciate you having me out. Yeah, we obviously 1-3 is not how we envisioned starting the season, but we still got 13 weeks of football left to play. So we're excited for that. I know we got a big test this weekend, and we're looking forward to that challenge. And we're going to continue to keep building on the stuff that we've done well and try to right some of the wrongs that we've made over the last 4 games.
Yeah, it's an important week this week, and Houston's another team coming in at 1-3. They're also going to be looking to pick up a big win to keep their season back on track. We'll dive into all of that over the course of this show, but I do just want to quickly acknowledge the sudden and terrible passing of Arthur Jones, Raven, who was in Baltimore from 2010 to 2013, Super Bowl champion with the Ravens. And there was a statement from Eric DeCosta about how he was so kind, courteous, enthusiastic. And, Eric mentioning he always displayed a love for his family, teammates, and friends. You're nothing but glowing things about Arthur Jones. So a terrible tragedy there with the Ravens community. So my thoughts and prayers are extended to his family and everybody in the Ravens community there. So
absolutely.
Really big week, Nick, again for the Ravens as we move on to the football here. Cam Newton, who obviously had an exceptional career as a quarterback, he's been making the rounds as a media member and certainly has had opinions on the Ravens this season, but he had an interesting challenge for you guys as a team this week. Obviously, we know that Lamar is not going to be out there. And before the news dropped that officially Lamar wasn't going to be playing, Cam talked a little bit about how for everybody else on the roster, not named Lamar Jackson, this could be a big moment. And he said, quote, they're at a breaking point in their season because they're either going to break down or break out. And he actually said if they don't have Lamar Jackson in this particular game coming up, he says he thinks that'll be a positive. Obviously, not having Lamar is not a positive at all. But what Cam's spin on it was it's almost like watching the Baltimore Ravens play. They're waiting on everybody else to make the play. And then he kind of went into a little bit more detail in terms of his opinion and talked a little bit about how if Lamar doesn't play now, it puts the onus on everybody. Everybody has to hold up their end of the bargain. That type of play is what we've been waiting on all year. So we know, Nick, that everybody on the roster is trying to hold up their end of the bargain, whether Lamar is out there or not out there, right? That's a whole different conversation. But I do think that with Lamar not being out there, it does increase responsibilities. And we also know a couple of other key players won't be playing as well. For you and with Cam's challenge, what are your thoughts on that? Because you are going to have multiple players step up with Lamar not being out there.
I think he's right. There's definitely guys that are going to take that challenge and they're going to step up and they're going to do what they're supposed to do. But I feel like, anytime a playmaker like Lamar's not out there, obviously, he's the best, he's the best player on our team, arguably the best player in the NFL. And so he's a very special talent when he's on the field. He makes everybody else around him better. I just feel like we got Isaiah back last week. We look really healthy on offense. Outside of Cooper, being the starting quarterback, everybody else is the regular guys. And I just feel like they're going to have opportunities because we're going to have to get back to running the ball, get back to the foundation of what the Ravens are built on. That's tough, physical football. And we're going to have guys, wide receivers are going to have to step up. Zay coming back. Zay Flowers is going to have to make some plays. Rashod, D-Hop, Tylen, Mark, like all these guys. I feel like that statement is almost like they weren't trying to do something before, and now that Lamar's not out there, they kind of have to do more. It's like, no, they're just going to continue to do what they do. Obviously, we got to execute at a higher level than we have in our first 4 games. We got to play better all the way around on all phases of the ball. But it's a great opportunity for these guys because there's going to be opportunities to spread the ball around, get guys balls in there, or get the ball in different guys' hands so that they can make plays. And I think Cam's right in the sense that I think we're going to see some guys breaking out. I wouldn't say it's a make or break. We've only played 4 games. There's a 17-game season for a reason. Obviously, we need to win this game. We don't want to fall 3 behind. But, for what we have going on the offense, I think that the guys are going to step up. Guys are going to do their job. And I think we're going to see a really efficient and very tough and physical team that we're going to put out there on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I first heard it, I'm just like, wait, guys have stepped up. And Cam's messaging, just to go in a little more detail, was like, oh, well, sometimes Derrick Henry's waiting on Lamar to make a play, or Zay's waiting on Derrick Henry to make a play. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that like everybody still has stepped up and had moments this season. I mean, it's just that the results record-wise have not been where you guys want it to be. Yeah. And obviously there is room for a lot of improvement, whether it be defensively or with getting guys out there and putting them in better opportunities. And, and that's something that I know you guys are the first to tell everybody. Like, Todd Monken taking accountability yesterday and, guys saying, hey, we need to do this better. We need to do that better. And I know that you're eager and excited to go out there and prove that on the field on Sunday. And hopefully it results in a win. But I do think it's interesting because it's not that guys haven't had moments this season. It's just that it hasn't resulted in wins. And so you mentioned it's a long season. The Ravens do have the 9th easiest strength of schedule. You guys have that remaining. And I know that there was a gauntlet. I know there was a stat put out, I think on Friday, that the Ravens were the first team in NFL history to have 3 of their first 4 games against teams that won 13 or more games the previous season. So look, I mean, that's a tough challenge. And I just think now for you guys, what's that next step to put it all together? I mean, is there anything specifically that it's just like, hey, we just got to go out and execute to the level we know that we are, or are there specific things that you feel like are able to be improved as you move ahead?
From my perspective, as the long snapper, I watch the majority of the game. I don't play that often, so I get the luxury of watching, getting a front row seat. And I think it's pretty obvious. We got to run the ball better. We got to protect the ball more. We got to be, we can't have costly turnovers. We can't have, dumb penalties, and we got to execute better on 3rd and 4th down and put ourselves in a better position on 1st and 2nd down to give us those, shorter 3rd down opportunities. But, I think these guys, I think we've done a lot of things well, but I just feel like we're not quite getting there. And going back to what Cam said, like, it's kind of interesting because, like, obviously he says, like, guys are waiting on Lamar to make a play. Well, Lamar's the quarterback, so he gets the ball every play. So they kind of have to wait for them to get the ball from Lamar. So I'm not really sure I get where he was going with that, but at the same time, it's like, I think that they've showed a lot of good stuff. I mean, we rushed for 200 plus yards against the Bills. We scored 40 points in the first 2 games of the season. We put up 30 against the Lions. Like, we've done a lot of good things. It's just we haven't done enough yet. And I think that comes back to ball security and, penalties, executing on 3rd and 4th down and in those crucial situations. And those are the things that, our guys already know that they can do a better job of it. They expect better out of themselves. And we expect that from our team. Like, that is kind of our mantra is like we're physical, we're tough, but we execute. We do the things that we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do them and get it done at a high level. So I think we're going to see a lot of that same stuff and continuing to get better at those things. We're stressing, ball security and especially with Cooper, new quarterback being in there with different timing and all that stuff. So I expect to see a lot of 22, and I hope for Derrick, I hope for him he gets the ball because that guy's a beast, and I love watching him play. And it's just so fun to sit on the side and just watch that guy get 6, 7, 8 yards of carry. It's unbelievable, and it's just like kind of our identity, like that tough physical. Push off the ball with the offensive line, get downhill with the running back, get bouncing off tackles, doing the stiff arm like that. And that's Ravens football. And so, I would love to see more of that. I think we're going to see more of that. And I'm excited for the opportunity we have this week to go up against another division champ from 2024, another great team in the Houston Texans. So it's going to be a big challenge for us, but I think we're going to see some good things.
Yeah, and even like Cam's message, I think what he was trying to say was that, we've seen Lamar put on that superhero cape so many times, go out there and almost like will this team to a victory at points. And I think his message was like, can that team now do that for Lamar when he's not out there and able to do that? And I think you guys accept that challenge. I think that's something that you guys, it's not about guys not performing this season. It's about being able to do stuff more consistently and having the results of the performance result in wins, which obviously 1-3 is not where you want to be, but you have an opportunity to write that this week. And coming up in the second part of the show, we'll talk a little bit more about the Ravens injury situation, Cooper Rush filling in for Lamar Jackson, and a lot more. Stay tuned. We got plenty coming your way on Locked On Ravens. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And in Baltimore, Fed Hill is absolutely jump in. Be More Licks and Fed Hill is incredible, especially on game days, and sports or something that bring neighborhoods together, whether it's gathering for game day rituals, celebrating with the best wings in town, or just being part of a fan base that calls a place home. And Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Justice Hill having that touchdown to start the game against Kansas City in week 4, and also the long one at the end of that game. It was not a good game for the Ravens as a whole. They got blown out. It was not a way you wanted to play against Kansas City, but Justice Hill was somebody that, despite how the game went for the team, he kept pushing forward, especially at the end when the game was out of reach. He was going out there and performing. So that, to me, is what the definition of moving the game forward is. So even though the Ravens lost, they still had positive moments in that game, and that is moving the game forward. When you follow, it moves you. The unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Back here, Locked On Ravens, Kevin Oestreicher and Ravens long snapper Nick Moore still talking with you here about this Ravens football team that's looking to pick up a big Week 5 victory against the Houston Texans. Nick, I do want to ask you this question. You talked about Derrick Henry versus Nick Moore one-on-one 100 times. How many times do you bring him down? You're fully healthy. It's not like an attrition thing. You reset every time. How many times do you bring him down?
If he's fully does he also reset every time, or is it just me?
Yes, he also resets every time.
God. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's going to be hard to win one, let alone more than one. Okay. I'm going to give myself 1 out of 90 out of 100. I'm going to give him 99 victories.
That's better than a lot of other people would do.
I'm a big guy. I might get lucky. It just depends. Like, if it's like if they're running like just a draw or something, like up the middle, and we hit head on, like he's probably going to win 95, 99% of them.
Right.
But there's on the off chance that I actually get a good lick on him and he falls over. You know, all I got to do is get him on the ground. It doesn't have to look good. All you got to do is go down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, I don't know. He went to Alabama though, so maybe I'll play with him a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll give myself.
That's a nice extra motivation for you.
Yeah. If it's a draw, I'll give myself 5 out of 100. If it's a toss sweep or something, I'm gonna give myself 0, maybe 1.
You're not gonna have to stop them in week 5, but the Texans are gonna have to stop them in week 5, and that's a team that doesn't love playing Derrick, but Derrick loves playing them over the course of his career.
They
280 carries. He's unbelievable. 1,578 yards and 13 touchdowns. I mean, the last time we saw him against Houston, he was on the Christmas Day game that you guys played and won. He had 27 carries for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. There was actually a stretch this is incredible, from 2019 to 2022, because, you know, he was in the AFC South. He played him twice a year.
Yeah.
He had a stretch of 4 games from that stretch of time where he had over 200 yards in each of those games. He had 32 for 211 and 3 touchdowns, 22 for 212 and 2 touchdowns, 34 for 250 and 2 touchdowns, and 32 for 219 and 2 touchdowns. So Houston does not want to see that man walk through that door, or they don't want to walk through that door to see him. And so we talk about, look, Cooper's out there, right? It's not Lamar. And while Cooper's going to have his own thing that he's going to have to do, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I think that the big thing the Ravens can do to help Cooper is establish that run game like you talked about, because, man, if anything else, Derrick Henry has a high historic rate of success against that Texans team.
Yeah, I mean, that he wants the ball. Like that's a guy that he's like, give me the ball 40 times a game. That old school, I'll run the ball every single play and we're going to be fine mentality. And he put like his work that he does, the stuff he does in the weight room, how he trains, how he practices, like that guy's just built different. Like he literally is a back from like 4 decades ago. That's, you know, from that old school mentality where before they even passed the ball, like as all they did was run every single play. And now he's doing it in an era where quarterbacks are throwing 50 times a game, 40 times a game. You know, they're throwing for 4,000 yards and all this stuff. And, you know, for him to be able to continue to do that, like, it's just mind blowing. And it's funny because, like, last year, I remember having this conversation early on, you know, when we first got him, you know, he's the Ravens doing their thing when they always pick up the old guy at the end of their career. And yeah, Derrick shut that narrative down really quickly. He is far from done. And he's had a ton of success. And for us as a team, like, that's our identity. Derrick fits the mold of the Baltimore Ravens so perfectly. Just physical, downhill back, breaks tackles, runs through guys, runs by guys. Like, he is the ultimate, like, Raven when you think of that old school, like Jamal Lewis, like the physicality the fear that they brought. That's Derrick Henry in a nutshell. And you know, for us as a team, we got to get back to that, because like last year I thought what we did so well was that we ran the ball so effectively, and almost to the point where it was kind of like, hey, we're going to run the ball and it's you got to stop it. You know, that was like the thing, like especially towards the end of the season,
right?
It was like, we're going to run the ball. You're going to line up 9 guys in the box. We're going to run the ball until you show us that we can, or until you stop it. And like, you know, it's hard. Derrick Henry is he's a beast. Like the guy's he's a creative player on Madden. And I just want to, I would love to see him get 25, 30 touches, get him the ball, let him do what he does. Let our offensive line cook, let those guys get downhill, moving defensive linemen off the ball. That's just Ravens football. So I have no idea. I'm not in any of those meetings, but that's just me as a fan and as a player on this team. Like, I want to see that. I want to see us get back to hitting people in the mouth, old school style, physical football.
Yeah, I think that, and that's a way to open up success for Cooper. I think in this game, we now know it's official. Lamar Jackson will not play in this game. Cooper Rush is going to be the man to step up and hopefully from the quarterback position, lead this team to a win. And he was asked about kind of, all right, what's going through your mind? What's the pressure? Is it a must-win game? And he kind of said, quote, they all feel like must wins. Like I said, I've been here before. Whenever a franchise quarterback goes down, it's always a sky is falling feeling everywhere you are. It's normal. And if you have to go out there Sunday and do what you have to do, it's nice knowing you had a whole week to prep for it. So things like that are good. So again, yeah, he's been with the team now for a while. He's had this week kind of in the back of his mind. Hey, I might have to do this week. I'm prepping as if I'm going to do it. Now it's official. Yep. So, I mean, what have you seen from Cooper just being around him, Nick, and what he's brought to the table? And what do you kind of expect from him on Sunday? Because I know that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to have to step up in the absence of Lamar to help his team get a win.
Yeah, obviously he's got to step up. He's moving into the starting role. Let's not forget he's 9-5 in his career as a starter. Backing up Dak Prescott, and he's won some big games, and he's done some really good things in the NFL. I've gotten to know Coop really well since he got here. He's a great dude. I love chopping it up with him. He's a great golfer too, so it's always fun to get another golfer on the team. But it's so intriguing for me to talk to him because he knows so much football. Like, you ever talk to people that just like they just know ball? Like, he just has such a great understanding of football, and like with our offense, he's really dove into the intricacies of what we're trying to get done. Obviously, I'm not saying anything out of pocket here when I say that he doesn't have the same abilities that Lamar does. He's not he doesn't run 23 miles an hour. He's not elusive in that way. But don't get it twisted. He can still move a little bit now for an old guy, for a 31-year-old. He moves really well. And, he's become a really good friend of mine. I'm excited for him to get this opportunity. I felt like, last week he was in a tough spot, had to come in the fourth quarter, didn't expect – I don't know mindset-wise. I don't want to say didn't expect to play. Obviously, he's a backup quarterback. Right. He's been in that role for a while, so he knows how to prepare for that. But anytime you get to go into a game where you were the starting quarterback all week, you got the reps, you were the center focus of the meeting, you were able to kind of talk about the things that you like, that you want to see, kind of give them what you're comfortable with, the things that you're good at, kind of, saying the things that you need to work on, or these are some areas that I could use some work at. Anytime you get that level of preparation, you're going to be put in a better spot going into the game. So I'm excited to see what he does. Obviously, I watched him all those times he started when he was in Dallas, got to see him win some games there for them. So, for me personally, as a friend of him, and as a teammate of him, obviously I want success for him, but more importantly, I'm just excited for him to get this opportunity and go out there and do what he has done in the past and, continue to win football games. The guy's a winner. Like, it's not easy to win football games in the NFL. And over, since I've been here, we've had, Lamar has missed time, whether it was 2021 or 2022 or, whatever. We haven't had a ton of success with number 8 not being on the field, but we've played some really good games. We just haven't, we didn't win a ton of them, if, I'm being frank, and that's no secret. Like, the stats are out there. Yeah. But I want to see Coop go out there, do what he's done, and win football games because he's a winner. He got brought here for a reason. He is, people were like, I would imagine, obviously, I don't know. I didn't talk to any particular person, but he gets brought in, and I feel like the fans are like freaking out because they're like, why are we bringing in Cooper Rush? He's not Lamar Jackson. And it's like, yeah, but Cooper Rush is a winner, and he's won in the NFL, and that's hard to find as in a backup. And he can get out there and he can execute at the level of a starting quarterback. And I think he could probably be a starting quarterback somewhere in this league, if he's given the opportunity. But I'm excited. I'm glad he's on our team and he's able to step in this moment and get out there and perform the way that he's always done. So I'm excited for him. I think offense is going to adapt really well to the style of play. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. Guys are going to have to step up. Guys are going to have to make plays, but guys are also going to have more opportunities to make plays. And we're going to, I would imagine everybody's going to get their hands on the ball. And, it'll be a great test for our offensive line to, establish their dominance and their physicality up front, because I'm sure we're going to run the football. And that was kind of a talking point this week. Listen to Monk and Harbs, and I think we want to get back to that. So I'm excited for that, and I think we're going to do a great job.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned Ravens 4-9 without Lamar Jackson all time. So something that I know you guys are hoping to improve on there. And there's an opportunity to do it against the Texans team that is also looking for a big win. So coming up in the final part of the show, we'll dive into some more injury news for the Ravens, as well as other ways they can bounce back. So stay tuned. We got plenty coming your way on Locked On Ravens.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Back here on Locked On Ravens with Nick Moore. I am Kevin Oestreicher, still breaking down Ravens coverage and content here. We talked about it. Lamar is not going to play in this game. Chidobe Awuzie, Marlon Humphrey, as well as Patrick Ricard and Roquan Smith, they will all also not play in this game. They've been officially ruled out. Guys who are ready to go, no injury designations for Travis Jones, Tyler Linderbaum, Brent Urban, Kyle Van Noy, and Nate Wiggins. Still some question marks right now. Questionable tags for Tez Walker, Ronnie Stanley, and Adafe Owe, as well as Kyle Hamilton. It's about guys stepping up, Nick, right? We've talked about it all show, but it's going to be a lot of younger players, rookies, second-year guys stepping into big roles and making sure that, you know, they can step up in those opportunities for a pretty big game early in the season. And even like talking about you guys and your unit special teams wise, we had talked about it. Like, you know, Tyler was nails as a field goal kicker, extra point guy, but he was working on the kickoffs, trying to adjust. And I thought he was one of the best players on the team in week 4 against Kansas City. I mean, he was those kickoffs to me, at least in my opinion, they looked a lot better and a lot improved. He was hitting in, the corner and getting those kicks in the right spot. I mean, it's going to be a lot about the young guys in this game. We talked about Derrick Henry. We talked about Cooper Rush. But, man, this game might be dictated by these young guys stepping up and hopefully making impacts.
You know, we have the next man up philosophy. I feel like every team in the National Football League has that same philosophy because it's not a matter of if you're going to get hurt in the National Football League. It's a matter of when. And it's a tough sport that we play. And week in and week out, your body takes a beating. You know, I can only imagine what a regular position player goes through on a week-to-week basis from practice to the games. It's hard, man. It's a physical sport. So everybody on the team, everyone that's on the team, whether you're on practice squad, on the 53, you know, coming off IR, whatever designation that you have, everyone has to be ready to come up when their number gets called. And I think a lot of the guys that we have, I would say everybody that we have on this roster knows that. And I think they're all up for the challenge. I mean, I think you said Roquan was going to be he got designated as out, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to have, a rotation with Teddy, I'm sure, Teddy Buchanan and Trent Simpson and Jake Hummel. And so those guys are going to have to step up. You know, Teddy and Trent have played a lot on defense so far. They were kind of rotating through the first couple of games. And then they filled in last week when Rowe went down. And they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to play tough physical football. They're going to have to, be on point with their assignments, their execution, and they're going to have to be the leaders out there because one of those guys is going to have to wear the green dot, right? Yep. I would imagine, I don't know the intricacies of that, but in my experience, the Mike linebacker wears the green dot. And so one of those guys who's, Trent's been on the team for 3 years, hasn't played a ton on defense over the last 3 years. Teddy's a rookie. So one of those guys is going to get the green dot. They're going to have to be the commander-in-chief out there. So they're going to have to step up. It's going to help, with old Unk coming back, Kyle Van Noy, get him back out there. He's a marvelous talent and truly one of the most remarkable human beings I know. And I love when he's out there. He's such a game changer. He's got so much experience, so much leadership qualities, and he's been there. He's been in Super Bowls, won Super Bowls, played in big games. He's been in these situations where teams been down, guys are hurt, and they knowing the defense has to step up, and he's been watched from afar. I'm sure he's been foaming at the mouth trying to get back out there. So I've seen him working, and I'm ready for him to get back out there and pick up where he left off last season. And I thought we had some, you mentioned the younger guys, but like I think about last week when we had John Jenkins and Brent Urban step up, and
sure.
Those two guys, I joked with them this week because there was one point in the game, I can't remember if it's the third quarter or the fourth quarter. They were both subbing in from the sideline. They had played, they both played 50 plus snaps. And I looked over at Jordan Stout and I was like, I just want you to know, Jordan, that is 71 years of age and 30 years in the NFL running onto the field right now between those two guys. And I thought they did honestly, God, I thought they played great, and they haven't been asked to play that much in a long time. And they both stepped up well. Hopefully Trav can to get back out there and help them. And Fub's done a great job. The rookie, he's done a really good job playing this year. And, I think from a defensive side, obviously a lot of injuries. So there's going to be a lot of room for guys to step up and make plays. And I think they're going to do it. They've shown it in practice. I work with a lot of these young guys, from special teams, because a lot of them make their impact in the NFL at the start of their career at special teams. I remember 22 when Kyle Hamilton was coming through and he was playing on special teams. He's making tackles on punt, running down on kickoff, doing all the stuff on punt return he was asked to do. And so I get to be around these guys early in their careers where they're trying to get established and trying to figure out where they're going to fit on the defense. And then they're making a name for themselves on special teams. And so I know how these guys operate. I know their mentality. I know their mindset. I know their approach to the game, the toughness, the physicality that they bring, the football smarts that they have. So I love it. Obviously you don't want to see guys get injured, but for these guys to get this opportunity, it's huge for them. It's huge for their confidence. It's huge for our team that we have these guys ready in the bullpen to go out when their number gets called. So I'm looking for a lot of these dudes to step up, make plays, do some really great things on Sunday. And I think they're going to, and we're going to need them to.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive game. And Teddy Buchanan actually did talk about how it's not set in stone how wear the green dot, but he is one of the ones who practiced with it. Also, apparently Malaki has not practiced with it, Malaki Starks, but apparently he said that they've also been kind of toying with the idea of him wearing it. So there are different options for guys who could step up in those moments. And
let me just tell you, Malaki, he's a Georgia guy, so you trust him with the green dot, okay? I love that guy, man. I trust that guy. He's a good dude.
There you go.
Aside from the fact he went to Georgia, I know, I have a history. Obviously, I have my love and history of Georgia, but I know how he was coached in college. I know the man that he is. I know the player that he is. And I've gotten to know him really well over the last year or since he's been up here.
Yeah.
I have, I think of him a lot of how I thought of Kyle when Kyle was a rookie and Kyle Hamilton. And I got tremendous respect for him. And I have high expectations for Malaki Starks. So, if he's got the green dot on, there's nothing to worry about there. He's going to get it done.
Maybe that'll be the choice. Yeah, maybe that'll be the choice. It's apparently possible. And again, that's one of the things coming out of Georgia, right? Very smart guy, very smart football player, knows where to be. So that's someone that, again, hopefully can step up for the Ravens. But Nick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hopping on the way out. Tell people where they can find you, what you're working on, and anything else you want to tell people about.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me, Kev. Instagram, as always, at Nick Moore 046. That's my only social. My wife runs that, so be nice and courteous if you're going to DM. My wife's in charge of it. She sees everything first, so just keep that in mind. Okay, I'm on Ryan Ripken's podcast every week. Here with Kevin on Locked On Ravens every week, and then you can find me. I do the squad show every so often. Whenever we can work it out with the schedule, and then there's a new podcast I've been working on with my buddy Sean. It's called A Beer with Baltimore Brew Crew. And we just sit down and have a conversation with a Marylander, that has an interesting story. Last week, we I think the podcast came out today, or maybe yesterday, with Justin, the weatherman Justin. I am drawing a blank on his last name here, so don't hold me to it, Justin. But it's just great. We've sat down with Jerry Sandusky, myself, some other people in the area. So give that a look. It's fun. It's there's a little bit of football in there, but it's a lot about the guests given an opportunity to tell their story, talk about what Maryland means to them, and kind of how they came up and where they're from and all that stuff. So it's a really unique, different take on everything. So it's fun.
Yeah, be sure to check it out. Follow Nick on the one social for now, maybe, and then maybe it's expanding in the future. So all the work and the links to Nick's, all the stuff he's going on, it's going to be in the description down below. Nick, again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for popping on, and thank you to everybody who watched and listened to Locked On Ravens today. Coming up tomorrow, we will have our game day episode in the morning, and then, of course, we'll do the watch along during the game, instant reaction show after that, and then the Locked On Ravens squad show after that. So be sure to stay tuned for everything we got coming up, and I'll see you right back here soon on Locked On Ravens.